that case. It wasn't necessarily his DNA, but someone very, very close to him, potentially like his father's or something, if I remember that correctly. I also want to ask you, because you talked about this DNA, are they...
Live from Michigan Avenue, this is Good Day Chicago.
Good Monday morning and welcome to Good Day Chicago. I'm Brian Jackson. Here's a look at some of the stories we're following this morning. Chicago teenager who fought for her father's release from ICE detention has now died. Also new details this morning on the search for Nancy Guthrie. What investigators are saying about a glove that was found near her home. And Mike says we're going to continue this beautiful weekend of weather into the start of the work week by potentially hitting a record high today. Just how high are we talking, Mike Kaplan?
The record is 58. I think that thing is toast big time. I think we could get into the mid-60s, Brian. Good morning, everybody. Yesterday was so spectacular. Total sunshine, hit 60 degrees. Today it won't be as sunny. In fact, there's a little bit of patchy fog out there right now. Visibilities in a few spots have dropped a little bit, but in general, we're going to see some very fine weather today. Here you can see some of those spots that have some fog, generally south of I-80. So watch out for that if you're driving around. Similar to what we had yesterday. Current temperatures, most of us are in the 30s, 27 at Aurora. My drive-in, I had an upper 20 on the road coming in. 37 at Gary, 39 at Midway, headed for the low to mid-60s this afternoon. Right?
Well, there are new details in the search for Nancy Guthrie. The FBI says a glove with DNA has been found near her home. They're saying it does appear to match the one that was worn by a suspect seen on her home's doorbell camera. Right now, the FBI is waiting for final test results from that glove. So far, no arrests have been made in the case. Over the weekend, officials say at least 4 people were detained and later released. Savannah Guthrie posted a new video on social media marking 2 weeks since her mother's disappearance.
We still have hope, and we still believe. And I wanted to say to whoever has her or knows where she is that it's never too late. It is never too late to do the right thing.
The FBI has now doubled the reward to $100,000 for information that could lead to an arrest. Time is now 4:32 this morning. The Department of Homeland Security remained shut down this morning. Lawmakers could not get a funding deal done by the holiday weekend, with Republicans largely rejecting Democrats' demands on reforms to ICE. This partial shutdown is expected to impact TSA, the Coast Guard, and FEMA, but not ICE or Customs and Border Patrol, which already received billions in funding last year.
Our expectation that we will respond to the unserious offer that Republicans have made that clearly omits things that need to happen, including but not limited to our demand that the Fourth Amendment be respected.
We're talking, but, you know, we have to protect law enforcement. ICE has done a phenomenal job. Border Patrol, we have a closed border for the first time in history. We have to protect law enforcement.
This partial shutdown may continue through the State of the Union address on February 24th. A man is facing charges in connection to a November shooting at a jewel store in Bronzeville. 19-year-old Elijah Theodore is charged with attempted murder. He was arrested in Phoenix last Friday. He's accused of shooting a security officer at the store on East 34th. Police said that Theodore was one of 2 people who tried to steal from the store and were confronted. The security guard and 2 other people were hit by gunfire. The teenager who fought for her father's release from ICE detention has now died. 16-year-old Ophelia Torres passed away on Friday from an aggressive form of cancer. She took to social media to bring awareness to the suffering of families affected by Operation Midway Blitz. Her father, Ruben Torres Maldonado, was picked up last October at a Home Depot. Ophelia appealed to authorities to release her father, who is the breadwinner and caretaker of their family. His absence meant that her care would be jeopardized. A judge agreed, and he was reunited with his family. She was a junior at Lakeview High School and is now an inspiration to those who hear her story.
She somehow found the strength to be able to speak for her dad, who couldn't speak for himself. So I really admire her tenacity, her courage, her selflessness, her ability to put her own physical pain to the side to speak up for her dad.
3 days before Ophelia's death, she witnessed a hearing where her father wanted protection from the threat of deportation, making it possible to pursue permanent residence. The city of Aurora marked 7 years since the tragic mass shooting at the Henry Pratt Company. A wreath-laying ceremony was held at the Aurora City Hall yesterday to honor the victims. 5 people were killed when a disgruntled worker started shooting. That same shooter also wounded 5 police officers, who were all hailed as heroes for ending his life before he could take anyone else's. The widow of one of the victims says that she is thankful for the community support.
This day carries a lot of heaviness that hasn't gotten easier to hold over the years. But I know that we're not doing it alone, and I'm reminded of that every single year when I come here.
Illinois Congressman Bill Foster has introduced a resolution in the House of Representatives to honor the victims of the Henry Pratt shooting. Some Rogers Park tenants continue to fight back against their landlord, and now there are claims of retaliation. The tenants have been protesting their landlord for raising the rent by up to $800 per month. Some of those who've lived in the building for decades have now formed a Rogers Park Tenants Union. About 60 of them are now on a rent strike with support from the All Chicago Tenant Alliance. They say that the landlord has now filed lawsuits against the striking tenants, threatening to evict them.
We are working class people. We are people that have lived in our neighborhood for 15, 20, and 30 years. Now our neighborhoods have been bought by a group of investors that are trying to evict us, and we simply do not agree. These are our neighborhoods, and no, we're not gonna leave. We want fair contracts, and we want repairs done in our apartments, and that includes new appliances.
The buildings house mostly Hispanic and Latino families. They say that being evicted at this time during ICE activity is dangerous. We could see some movement this week in the Bears' push for their new stadium in Arlington Heights. Legislation that would give the Bears a long-term property tax break is set for a hearing in Springfield on Thursday. Plan to move the Arlington Heights project forward has ramped up since the Bears floated the idea of potentially moving to Northwest Indiana. Sunday marked 3 years since the Bears closed on the purchase of the former Arlington Park racetrack. And Governor Pritzker will deliver his State of the State address on Wednesday. The governor is expected to talk about President Trump's impact, especially here in Illinois. He's also expected to talk about the state's budget gap. Pritzker is running for a 3rd term in Illinois, but is also viewed as a possible contender for the presidency in 2028. The Illinois primary is a little over a month away, and this week our political reporter Paris Schutz will host a series of debates with candidates competing in some of the biggest races. Today will be the Democratic candidates for Dick Durbin's open Senate seats. They are Congresswoman Robin Kelly, Congressman Raja Krishnamurthy, and Lieutenant Governor Juliana Stratton. That debate begins tonight at 6 right here on Fox Chicago. Well, over the weekend, it was NBA All-Star Weekend, a little bit of a different format this year, and Mike has a look at sports. The game's a lot more competitive compared to what we've seen in the past.
It wasn't, 200 to 153. Exactly.
Pretty decent, yeah.
Yeah. All right, there was still the usual three-point and dunk contest, but the main attraction certainly took on a different tone. The revamped event had the U.S. against the world, with 3 teams in a round-robin tournament. Team Stars is made up of the league's younger players. Team Stripes, those are the veterans. And there was Team World. The championship game featured the Stripes and the Stars came out on top. And the All-Star MVP trophy went to Timberwolves guard Anthony Edwards. The Illini look to bounce back after a couple of tough losses last week. They hosted the Hoosiers yesterday afternoon. Big game for freshman David Mirkovich. He finished with 25 points. The other freshman star, Keaton Wagler, he added 18. The Illini go on to win this one by 20, 71-51. All right, to the racetrack. You probably never heard of Tyler Reddick, but I bet you know the guy who owns his car. Yeah, Tyler Reddick wins the Daytona 500 after a thrilling final lap at Daytona International. Reddick avoided that late wreck and surged from 3rd to 1st, coming out of turn 4, passing Chase Elliott to take the checkered flag. It is Reddick's first career Daytona 500 victory and a historic win for team owner Michael Jeffrey Jordan, his first Daytona 500 trophy.
You are a day.
I can't even believe it. Yeah, I mean, it was so gratifying. I mean, we had 4 guys that were really fighting, that was helping each other out. I mean, you never know how these races going to end, right? It's like you just try to survive. And, I mean, we just hung in there all day. I mean, we great strategy by the team, and we gave ourselves a chance at the end. And, look, I'm ecstatic. I mean, I don't even know what to say. It feels like I won a championship, but until I get my ring, I won't even know.
Reddick, by the way, led only 1 lap, the last one. Look at this. Here's a first. Yesterday's Georgia-Oklahoma basketball game delayed 5 minutes into the game. Why? The popcorn machine burst into flames. Security had to clear sections near that fire. It was put out quickly by sprinklers. The fire was contained to the concession area. The game was only delayed for a few minutes. That you seldom see anything like that. Wow. I guess that could have been a heck of a lot worse, right? All right, here's what we've got weather-wise. That heart's still up on the building because you're going to love the weather, I think. Again, unless you are a big fan of cold and snow. Happy President's Day. And on this President's Day, we have a record going down. This is an unusual record. The record is only 58 degrees. Yesterday's record high in the books is 69. Tomorrow's is 67. This is what I call an oddball record, when it's way lower than the surrounding days. But we're going to nail it. It'll feel more like mid-April this afternoon with a temperature in the low 60s. I think we'll hit 64 for the official high. We have mainly 30-something on here. We've got 31 at Chicago Heights and Joliet, Woodstock 34, 33 at Valparaiso, 39s at Midway and Chicago's Lakefront. There is fog out there. Now, the only counties in our viewing area under a dense fog advisory, really it's only one, LaPorte County. But I'm going to show you there are some spots not in the advisory where the visibility stinks. Even in the Joliet area it's poor, but look at this here showing up. I would not be surprised if maybe here in the next hour or so the Weather Service does come out and expand that dense fog advisory. Other than that, we're in good shape. It'll become partly sunny, breezy, and unseasonably warm. A record-smashing high of 64 degrees. Tonight down to 38, partly to mostly cloudy skies, a little bit of patchy fog again. Let's look quickly here at the 7-day forecast. More mild air. 56 tomorrow, maybe some showers tomorrow night and Wednesday, then a 65 Wednesday, a few more showers Thursday night, ending Friday, and then it does get a little bit colder Saturday and Sunday, but it's a quick punch of colder air. Temperatures next week moving back above normal. Brian?
All right, coming up this morning on Good Day Chicago, what U.S. leaders are saying after European countries determined Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny was poisoned. That's still to come this morning.
North Aurora Auto Mall.
Now on Good Day Chicago, a teenager who fought for her father's release from ICE detention has died. 16-year-old Ophelia Torres passed away on Friday from an aggressive form of cancer. She took to social media to bring awareness to the suffering of families affected by Operation Midway Blitz. There are new details in the search for Nancy Guthrie. The FBI says that a glove with DNA has been found not far from her home. They're saying it appears to match the one that was worn by a suspect seen in her home's doorbell camera. As of right now, the FBI is still waiting for test results from that glove. A man is now facing charges in connection to a November shooting at a jewel store in Bronzeville. 19-year-old Elijah Theodore is charged with attempted murder. He's accused of shooting a security officer at the store on East 34th. 2 others were hurt by gunfire. President Donald Trump's border czar, Tom Homan, says a small security force will remain in Minnesota after the drawdown of immigration enforcement. More than 1,000 agents have already left the state, with hundreds more departing in the coming days. Homan says agents will also keep investigating fraud allegations and the protest disrupted a church service. New details on the controversial 2024 death of Russian opposition leader Alexei Navalny. He died in a Russian prison, but new reports now say that he was poisoned. Russian leaders initially claimed that he got sick and lost consciousness while on a walk. Now, a new statement by the European NATO countries concludes that it was a type of frog poison that the Russian government used to murder Navalny.
Wanted to silence him because he was a critic of their regime, and that's why we have exposed this barbaric Kremlin plot to do so, and made sure that we have done so with evidence as well.
We obviously are aware of the report. It's a troubling report. We're aware of that case of Mr. Navalny, and certainly it's we don't have any reason to question it, or we're not disputing or getting into a fight with these countries over it, but it was their report, and they put that out there.
The Kremlin is rejecting the EU's accusations as propaganda. Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer has a proposal that would make sure that the pride flag always flies at the Stonewall National Monument in New York City. The flag was taken down earlier this month by the Trump administration, saying it did not comply with its rules on flags, but is now flying once again at the monument after a group of elected officials raised it last week in defiance of the White House. Now, Schumer says he wants to make sure that the flag never comes down again.
I am introducing legislation to designate the pride flag as a congressionally authorized flag in America, and that means it can be flown here and everywhere else, and no one can take it down.
The Stonewall Monument stands in front of the Stonewall Inn, a bar inside of the 1969 riots that launched the gay rights movement. The monument, which is now part of the National Park Service, was established by President Obama in 2016 and is the first federally designated LGBTQ+ rights monument. Time now 4:48 this morning, checking in with Mike. We had a beautiful weekend, and that continues into this Monday.
Yeah, we could easily break a record today. The record is really low-hanging fruit, 58 degrees. I think we're going to zip past that probably by lunchtime. Right now, it is 38 degrees. That is already warmer than the normal high this time of year. We have a south-southwest wind at 6. It is going to be a little bit breezier than it was yesterday. I can see some gusts of more than 25 miles per hour. Current temperatures, looks like Aurora, as usual. The airport, cold spot, 27 degrees. In Joliet, it's 31. LaSalle, Peru, 34. Same at Woodstock. 39 along the lakefront. It's 32 at Michigan City. And in Merrillville, it is 35 degrees. We have some high cloud cover and a few spots dealing with fog. The only areas really with a dense fog advisory, parts of Michiana, LaPorte County, and then way to the south of LaSalle, Peru. However, the visibilities are low in counties that don't have a dense fog advisory, yet. And that would include maybe LaSalle and Grundy County and even other parts of northwest Indiana. So don't be surprised if driving around early this morning, say before 8 or 9 o'clock, you encounter a little bit of fog. Throughout the rest of the day, there'll be some high cloud cover around, but I think the afternoon hours end up being a little bit sunnier, and that is when temperatures are going to take off. Tonight, will pick up just a little bit of cloud cover. Once again, there will be some fog in a few spots, mainly south. During the day tomorrow, it will not be as warm, but it's still going to be much warmer than normal. It will be a little bit cooler far north and near the lake, and then we deal with a few showers tomorrow night. And these will likely continue into Wednesday morning and then scoot on out of here. And on Wednesday, eye-popping warmth on the way, maybe even some upper 60s on the way. Right now, Brian, I'm going to go mid-60s, but it could be a few degrees warmer than that.
Ooh, man, I see a 70 in our near future, right? But coming up, a local church lost to a fire on Thanksgiving opens up a temporary location. Plus, as we're talking about these warm temperatures, the Bears are still hosting their 37th annual coat drive, and the last day to donate is today. The Bears, along with Joe Lasco, the Salvation Army, and Sherway Movers, are asking for all of your coat donations. Remember, today is the deadline. All you have to do is drop them off at a participating Joe Lasco. You can find more information online at chicagobears.com/coat drive. A congregation that lost their church to a fire has a new temporary location. They opened up their doors for a celebration yesterday. That fire on Thanksgiving destroyed the Renewal Life Church on 58th and Emerald in the Inglewood neighborhood. The temporary building is on 74th and Sterling Island in South Shore.
We wanted to share with the world that recovery is possible in the midst of times where many people felt like, what do we do next? A lot of our church members were like, all right, so do we need to find a new church? And some people are discouraged. We didn't even know we were reaching people in Michigan. And so people started sending things in the mail and donating and helping us around the country.
The pastor says that the fire also destroyed the offices of several small businesses and his campaign office as he's running for Congress as well. There's a link on the church's website for donations. The U.S. Department of Agriculture has issued a recall on ground beef. The meat may be contaminated with E. coli. The recall affects around 23,000 pounds of ground beef produced by CS Beef Packers. The Food Inspection and Safety Service identified the presence of E. coli during a test. The USDA says that the recalled products were intended for food service locations such as restaurants and cafeterias instead of grocery stores. There are no reported illnesses yet from the product. Well, a ship that sunk in Lake Michigan more than 150 years ago has now been found. After a search that spanned nearly 60 years, luxury steamer Lac La Belle was found in October of 2022. The shipwreck was discovered about 20 miles offshore between Racine and Kenosha. The announcement of that discovery was delayed because the team wanted to display a three-dimensional video model of the ship. The luxury steamer sank back in October of 1872. 53 passengers and crew members were on board, and 8 people died after one of the lifeboats from the ship capsized. It's amazing more people didn't die on that, especially way back then, Mike.
Yeah, I'm completely unfamiliar with that whole story. That's an interesting find there. We have partly cloudy skies out there right now over the city, looking good. But depending on where you are in Chicagoland, you may be dealing with some pretty thick fog, similar to what we had yesterday. And almost all of it is south of I-80 or in that proximity. I'll turn on the alerts here. And I keep waiting to see whether the Weather Service expands the dense fog advisory. Right now, the only county in our viewing area technically is LaPorte County. This will be in effect until 9 o'clock Central Time. But there are some really low visibility numbers not in that dense fog advisory area. Look at this, only a quarter-mile visibility in Grundy County, LaSalle, Peru. It's poor, so it's kind of that I-80 corridor and point south where we're seeing some of the thick fog out there. Even Valparaiso's airport checking in with only a quarter-mile visibility. Temperatures mainly in the 30s now. We've got 38 at O'Hare, 34 at Woodstock and Merrillville, 32 at Kankakee and Michigan City. Today, it's a record breaker, big time. The record's 58. That thing is history. 64 today. It'll become partly sunny, a little bit breezy. Southwest winds at 12 to 22. We actually have 4 days, in addition to the 3 that we just strung together, 4 more days of 50 plus on the way. Today, tomorrow, Wednesday, and Thursday. And 2 of these days are going to be at least in the mid-60s. Wednesday, boy, we could be off and flying here. I'm going to go 65. That may be a 67 or 68. There will be some scattered showers Tuesday night and Wednesday morning. And again on Thursday, the temperatures tail off a little bit. And over the weekend, it will be cool, but not too bad for late February. A high of 38 on Saturday, high of 35 on Sunday. And all signs are pointing to warmer air returning again next week. 4:56. We'll be right back after this.
All new Tuesdays on Fox.
The U.S. military boards another sanctioned oil tanker in the Indian Ocean. The vessel is officially blacklisted for violating international trade restrictions. Pentagon says that the military had been tracking this tanker from the Caribbean Sea in an attempt to target illicit oil connected to